fighter has the highest fight IQ?
I don't think there's nobody in the game that has the fight IQ that I have.
Off the charts.
His IQ
the
is
highest
insane.
fight IQ maybe ever.
This guy hits hard. He's tough. He's this, he's that. And this guy has a dream. But my fight IQ will win this fight.
Welcome to the Fight IQ podcast. I'm back with another episode. Today I got some Monday matchmaker for you guys. As you can see on the left side of the screen, we got 6 fighters from the card this past weekend. These are the only fighters from the card that I really care to do any further matchmaking for. So let's just get into it. Let's go with Song Yadong. Song Yadong won the main event. He was winning the fight up until the eye poke. It did look like Henry Cejudo was starting to get a little bit more aggressive, but to be honest with you, I had it 3-0 before going into the fourth round. They kind of forced it into the fourth round so they could give Song Yadong the decision, as opposed to it just being ruled a no contest or something, because Song Yadong was winning the fight up until that point. Now, the bantamweight division is a little interesting right now. It actually is starting to get a little more interesting than it has been. We have a dominant champion in Merab, and it looks like they're going to do the Sean O'Malley rematch for Merab. I'm not the biggest fan of that, but that's what we got. I thought of a couple different possibilities that you could give Song Yadong next. Henry Cejudo obviously wants the rematch. I don't care to see it. They just fought 3 rounds. We saw how that went over 3 rounds, even if Cejudo kind of picked it up over the last 2 rounds. I don't think he was going to finish Song Yadong. Song most likely would have won that fight. Don't really care to see the rematch. But what I do want to see, another guy who was on this card, who had a good performance. If you think it was a robbery, you're absolutely crazy. Rob Font. I think you do Song Yadong versus Rob Font next. Song Yadong was scheduled to fight Umar Nurmagomedov at one point, and he's kind of the only guy up in that top of the division who he hasn't fought yet. Sorry, this is not aligned, and it's kind of bothering me, but whatever. I don't think you do that fight. Personally, since they're doing the Sean O'Malley rematch with Merab, I want to see Peter Yan versus Umar Nurmagomedov. That's what I want to see. So I don't think you give Song Yadong the Umar fight. I think you give him Rob Font, who's coming off a good performance. He has now beat 2 up-and-coming prospects in a row. He beat Kyler Phillips before this, and he just beat John Matsumoto in what I believe to be an impressive performance. John Matsumoto was trying to implement the grappling the entire time. He got Rob down a couple times, but wasn't really able to do anything with it. And Rob was tagging him up on the feet, doing damage with the jab and the 1-2 like he always does. I want to see Song Yadong versus Rob Font. They have not fought yet. I don't believe. I looked on Tapology before this just to make sure, but I don't think that these two have fought yet. So anyway, this is what I want to see. I don't want to see the rematch with Song and Henry. Rob Font is coming off of 2 good wins, and the rest of the guys up at the top of the division seem to be doing their thing. Corey Sandhagen got booked against Davison Figueiredo, so you can't do Song Yadong versus one of those guys. Rob Font, that's the next matchup for Song Yadong. Let's move down to Henry Cejudo. Kind of a weird performance. I feel like he was kind of picking up the aggression towards the end of round 3. I don't really think the fight would have gone any differently had it kept going. I think Cejudo was kind of having trouble finding the range because Song Yadong is just bigger than Henry. He was having a little bit of trouble. Like I said before, I don't want to see the rematch with him versus Song Yadong. There's a couple other fights in the division you could make for Henry, but realistically, I think the best thing you can do is Mario Batista. We had that interaction between the two where Mario came up to Henry and he's like, "Come on, man, sign the contract, let's fight." Henry was like, "What have you done, man? You haven't done anything." Well, the fact of the matter is, Henry Cejudo doesn't have a win in years, and Mario Batista's on like a 6 or 7 fight win streak. Whether you liked his fight against Jose Aldo or not, that's for you to decide. The fact of the matter is he's on a win streak. He's up in that like similar number ranking as Henry Cejudo is now, and Henry coming off these losses, man, he needs to fight someone like a Mario Bautista. I don't think Henry deserves any other fight other than this. You could put him up against like a Chito Vera, but there are other fights. I think also because Chito Vera has kind of lost a few now, I think you give him someone lower. I might just make an entire video just matchmaking the bantamweight division, because I think I have a lot of good ideas about where that division could go. But I think this is the matchup that you make next for Henry Cejudo. You give a Mario Bautista. They have that, the past with the interaction of them kind of having that little shit talk face to face. So I think that's what you do. All right, let's move down to Fluffy Hernandez. Great performance over Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen, man, just is not the smartest when it comes to fighting. He is always winning on the feet, seems to be winning on the feet, throwing really good combinations, and then just decides to grapple, even if he seems to be at a grappling disadvantage like he was in this last fight. They have fought before. That was like pretty much how the fight went the first time. Really, really good scrambles, very impressive scrambles. The thing was the top control. Fluffy was getting he was the one securing the takedowns, and he was the one ending up in top position and controlling it. I think it was the end of round 1, possibly, where Brendan Allen actually did have some good top control and was throwing some really nice ground and pound and threatening submissions from the top. Brendan Allen is a good grappler, but the fact of the matter is, over 3 rounds, what we got was Fluffy ending up more on top. He was getting the better of the scrambles. He was ending up on top, and he had more top control time, threatening stuff from the top. So that's what we like to see from Fluffy Hernandez. That's kind of what we were expecting, especially because that's kind of how the first fight went. Now, the top of the division, you got a lot of guys in middleweight who kind of like are already in the talks for title contention. I don't think Fluffy is there quite yet, but he obviously deserves someone higher ranked than him. Someone I think who he should fight next is someone who's also coming off a good recent win, very, very recent, as in last weekend recent, Jared Cannonier. These two have not fought yet. I think this is a great matchup. We'll see if Fluffy Hernandez can avoid the powerful strikes from distance from Cannonier. Let's see if we can get him. Let's see if he can get him down. See if he can control him like he's been able to everybody else. Not really much to say about this one. I think this is just a really good matchup that you can do in the top 15. See if you can get Fluffy Hernandez in the talks of fighting those guys in the top 10. Now let's move on to Jean Silva. Performance of the night. Man, he started out this fight just looking really scary and patient. He was clearly just in a ready stance, ready to counter, looking at what Bagdasaryan was about to throw, and he had Bagdasaryan nervous. Bagdasaryan clearly wanted to throw, but you had Jean Silva there making reads, clearly just sitting back, being like, all right, where can I land this shot? Where can I land this shot? Scary stuff from Jean Silva. That's pretty much what I expected. I did expect a little bit more volume, but to be honest with you, he didn't need it. He just wanted to sit back, see where he could land that shot that he knew he was going to land, and he did end up landing it. Beautiful right hand, puts Bagdasaryan out. Kind of a funny moment where Jean Silva kind of knew the fight was over. Ref, I believe it was Kevin McDonald, was kind of waiting for a couple follow-up shots, and then he gave it to him. Jean Silva landed those follow-up shots. Kevin McDonald stops the fight. I think this one's pretty easy. He called him out on the mic. Brass Mitchell, brother. He responded. He said, yeah, I want this fight pretty much. I think this is what you do. I think Jean Silva could beat Ilia Topuria. Say what you will about that. I think this guy's got aura. I think this guy's got skill. He's got plot armor. He's got all of it. He's got everything that you would need to beat a guy like Topuria. Unfortunately, we're not going to see it. Topuria has already vacated and left the division. Maybe if Jean Silva goes on a tear, it'll convince Topuria to come back down and get that fight. But I think you do Jean Silva versus Bryce Mitchell next. And then if he beats Bryce Mitchell, fuck it, give him a shot at the title. Give him a number 1 contender fight. This is that dude. Jean Silva is that dude. And every performance, we just kind of see that a little bit more. This is the fight to make. Nothing really more to say. Awesome performance. Bryce Mitchell kind of verbally accepted. That's that. Next, whatever. I just kind of needed to throw another one in here. Mansour Abdul-Malik. Good performance. He got hurt early in the first round by Nick Klein. Spinning elbow, spinning back fist type of thing. He was going for a spinning back fist. Kind of landed on the elbow. Hurts Abdul-Malik. Had him stumbling a little bit. And Abdul-Malik just recovered pretty quickly, to be honest with you, and didn't really give Nick Klein the opportunity to get that finish. Now, I think with Abdul-Malik, he just got his second win in the UFC. He had a win on the Contender Series, came in. Now he's got 2 wins in the UFC. You don't, especially because he got hurt by a guy like Nick Klein in the first round, I don't think you give him a huge jump up, but you give him someone who the MMA fans are going to recognize. And if he beats this guy, now we're talking about, okay, let's give him a fight to get him closer to the top 15 type of deal. That guy, who's also coming off a win, TKO over a former champion, Eric Anders. Let me increase the size here. That's going to bother me. Eric Anders, not much more to say. I mean, I'm not going to get excited about this fight, but when you have a performance like Abdul-Malik just had where he's finishing guys, but look, let's be honest, he's not the cleanest. He gets hurt by a guy making his debut in Nick Klein, but he does deserve, someone who's been in the UFC for a little while, someone who's got that experience of Eric Anders, and he's coming off a TKO win over Chris Weidman. This is a decent fight to make. This is just not bad. I think this is just a perfect next step for Mansour Abdul-Malik. And if he wins this, now we're talking about giving him a fight that puts him in a position to now kind of enter the top 15. I think that's what you do. I don't want to talk about it too much. Now, like I said, I kind of just threw this one in here because, Abdul-Malik got a finish. I kind of want to, to prove to you guys that I'm not a casual, at least, we'll make this matchup right here. There's a couple other ones I could have made, but I think you give him someone who's like a gritty vet like Eric Anders. Now, Ricky Simone. I wrote it down. Honestly, this KO that he just got over Javid Basharat, I wrote down on my potential KOs of the year. And that's just to say, when I see an awesome KO, I write it down, and then later in the year, when it's November, December, we're talking about all the good KOs of the year, I can go back and remember this one. This was a fantastic knockout, especially at bantamweight. You very rarely see just one punch KO knockouts like that, and Basharat was out bad. He was out real bad. Ricky Simone, he's this guy who was a hot prospect when he first came in. He was in the top 15 for a little bit, then found his way back out of the top 15. He has wins over guys in the top 15. I mean, hell, he's got a win over the champion right now. He's got a submission win over Merab, I think, right? I know he beat Merab. I'm almost positive he submitted him, though. He's also got another win over Montel Jackson, who's at the number 15 spot right now. So I think you give him a chance to come back into the top 15. Like I said, he already beat Montel Jackson. I would like to see that fight again, to be honest, because Montel Jackson has been on a streak, and he doesn't fight that often. However, I'm not going to give him the Montel Jackson fight just because we've already seen it. I think he should fight Amin Zahabi next. Amin Zahabi has been doing really well. He's not this like super, super exciting fighter who everyone gets stoked to see in a next matchup. But look, everyone's going to remember this Ricky Simone knockout. Everyone's going to be stoked to see his next fight regardless. Give him Amin Zahabi. Give him another chance to enter the top 15. I think this is just good matchmaking. Who else are you going to give him in the top 15? I don't think you're going to give Ricky Simone like a Jose Aldo fight. You could give him someone like Kyler Phillips, but, Kyler Phillips coming off a loss. I rarely like to see guys coming off a loss in the top 15 fighting a guy who's coming off a brutal TKO or knockout win like Ricky Simone is. These guys, Ricky Simone, Amin Zahabi, both coming off wins, both looking really good at this point in their career. Although, you know, Ricky Simon had a few losses before this. He was coming off losses from guys at the top of the division, really, really top guys. So I think this is just a good piece of matchmaking. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. These are my 6 fighters that I chose from this card. The prelims were really, really good. However, I'm not going to sit here and matchmake people that are still like 2, 3, 4 fights away even from the top 15. So these are the fighters that I chose. Let me know what you think about my matchmaking in the comments. Let me know if there would be better matchups out there for these guys. And I will catch you on the next one. Adios.